Hello and welcome back to LD ADHD. Hey James,
Hi, Julie.
how's your week been?
Oh, my stars. It's Monday.
Mm. Your
Anyway,
favorite day?
yep, my favorite day. Big day at work.
Yep.
Lots of memory busting and stuff. But it's been great. My week's been great.
Yeah.
How about you, Julie?
I'm good.
Good.
I'm good. I worked today too.
Great.
Yeah.
That's
Monday.
great.
Monday. Awesome.
That's fantastic.
We're here today to talk about a topic that's way more fun than working on a Monday though.
We are. What are we talking about?
We're talking about exercise and ADHD because it's one of those things that like we kind of know that we should do, but then sometimes we do it and sometimes we don't. And we also want to talk about like what works for us and what works for the people that we know and some options. We want to give you some options on what maybe might work for you and what you can try. I know that with me, like I need to mix it up a lot so much. So we want to inject some variety into your regime and get you moving again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It follows on from last week's episode with the diet, I suppose. And I don't mean diet as in diet. I mean diet as in what we eat and what we fuel ourselves with. But I guess exercise, it is an important part of our lives for everyone, not just ADHDers, but I think it really helps us.
Yeah. And look, I know that we're not turning into like some health biohacking kind of show, but given my profession as a naturopath, we kind of had to go there at some point, didn't we?
We did.
We've been putting it off for a bit, but here we are. So let's talk about why it's important, James. Like, why do you think exercise is important for ADHDs?
Well, it's important. The science says it's important.
Does it really?
Yeah, the good people at Attitude magazine have an article, and it says that exercise stimulates dopamine and norepinephrine.
Whoa.
So the receptors in the brain for cognitive function. Is that correct, Julie?
I don't know, James. You're the one reading the Attitude article. Yeah, I'm staying out of this. You're on a roll.
I was reading the article and my laptop screen went blank. So I don't know.
You can tap it. Go on, have a look. Oh, no, it's dead. It's
dead. This is great. Dead. This isn't good radio.
No.
But anyway, it's for me, it's a chance, for your brain to quieten a little and to, I think if you sit around and just mull things over in your head all the time, it just gets worse and worse. Yeah. So for me, it's a chance to clear my mind and just think about what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the endorphins that it gives me. I love the dopamine hit that it gives me, but I also love the self-esteem kick that I get from it as well. I always come back from doing a workout feeling like I've done something really good for myself. And over time, I notice the improvements that it has on my body. And I'm not talking about as a woman, like just being skinnier or anything. It's more like I actually get like a bit of a buzz out of noticing if I've built some muscle or if I can lift heavier things than I used to. Yep. Like when we went to Dan Murphy and you bought a case of beer and I was like, would you like me to carry that to the car park for you? Because I can. Like, I love that sort of stuff. Makes me feel kind of like helpful, independent and useful.
Yeah, useful.
And strong.
Yeah. Yeah, and look, exercise has always been a huge part of my life. I was always at the beach. I was always from, when I could move, basically. My dad was an ocean swimmer and a champion swimmer, so we were at the beach all the time. Surfing particularly, even though I don't do it much anymore, Jules.
Why don't you do it anymore, James?
The crowds shit me, and the lack of etiquette in the water, people dropping in on me, shits me.
It really messes with your autism brain, doesn't it? Because your autism brain loves rules.
I like rules and I like people to stick to the rules, but nobody does anymore. So anyway, but the point I was trying to make, Julie, before being rudely interrupted, I find particularly with surfing, because you have to, you're always looking out the back. Where's the next wave? What's the next set? Look at looking towards the beach. Where am I am I where I'm meant to be, where
Yeah.
I was,
Have I drifted on the current?
have I been set adrift? Am I where I need to be? And looking in the water, I just find that
Yeah, where are the sharks at?
surfing, yeah, when it's quiet, when it's peaceful, it is really a chance for the brain to switch off. And I don't do it much anymore, but now I'm mountain bike riding, and I discovered the other day when I went out, my brain was still ticking over because it was flat. So if I'm on a challenging trail and it's downhill and it's complicated, that's good because my brain just concentrates on the dirt and the track and my bike and myself. Long stretches on dirt roads was kind of boring. And my brain
especially
was,
because you accidentally picked a dirt road that you'd already done, and you were like, damn it, this is
yeah,
that dirt road from earlier.
same dirt road from the other week, and I had no food, and my brain just could not. My brain couldn't get away from the fact that I didn't have any food on board with me. So it wasn't as great a ride as I've had. But what I'm trying to say is it's just so good. And I think growing up for me, I was undiagnosed. I didn't know about ADHD. Had I not been such an exercise freak, from surfing, and then I moved to Melbourne and it was just cycling, I think my life would have been much worse.
Yeah, I wonder if that's one of the reasons why you got missed as a diagnosis when you were younger, because you did go and run it off and then just come home dog tired.
Yeah, I
And
was exhausted.
yeah, and it also kept you out of trouble. So why would you have been flagged as being a problem?
Yeah, it did keep me out of trouble with the law mostly.
Mostly.
And yeah, it did keep me out of trouble, but I was exhausted. But I still, look, honestly, you all know my history. It didn't stop me not doing homework. It didn't get rid of ADHD, but it certainly was, my life was better for it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you surfing in Wollongong as a kid probably did stop you doing homework even more.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Maybe.
you were in the water a lot, weren't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. A lot.
Okay, over to me.
What about you, Jules?
Oh, thanks for asking. So I too surf, but I've only picked it up in the last decade. And should we tell them how good I am at surfing? I'm fucking terrible. I am the worst. Some days, like even after the last surf I had a few days ago, some days I come home and I'm like, I don't know why I do this. Like I am so shit at it and I'm not getting any better. And I think I'm going to be a kook forever. Sometimes I even regress back to the whitewash and I'm like, I'm 47 years old and I'm back in the whitewash. What am I doing? I'm shit at this. But you know what? It's that thing you just said, like when I'm out there, I am so busy thinking, like my brain is so occupied with whether I'm drifting, what I'm doing, where I need to paddle to, whether I'm going to have a collision with those people. Is that a shark? Oh no, it's a dolphin. That's okay. Like all the things that I come in after 2 hours and I'm like, I haven't thought about anything else. And it's so good. And just being out in nature, I find is really healing for me and it just makes me feel like a new person. So yeah, sorry to everyone who I get in the way of. I'm going to keep doing it. But yeah, look, that's not what I did growing up. I was anything but a surfer growing up. I grew up in the northwestern suburbs of Melbourne. We did not have any ocean or anything.
No champion surfers came out of northwest Melbourne, Jules?
No, not really. No, they kind of more played AFL, really.
Oh, AFL, yeah.
Got a few of them. But yeah, look, when my parents had a holiday house in central Victoria and we had a dirt road, and I used to love riding my bike on this dirt road down this massive big hill, wind in the hair.
How good are bikes?
Oh, it was so amazing. And like that, I used to just do laps and laps and laps of that. And also I used to do dancing, and I don't anymore, but I keep thinking I should get back to it. I absolutely loved dancing. And I think part of what I love about it in terms of ADHD is you are learning new things all the time and learning new routines all the time. But also on the flip side of that, my poor little processor, this is my personal kind of fall down drawback thing. My little processor is a bit slower than some other people. And I used to wonder why. I was like, I'm a smart kid. Why aren't I picking up this dance routine as fast as everyone else in the class?
Yeah.
And now I know why, because my poor old processor just needs a few more attempts at it before you'll learn it. So I want to get back into dancing, but I'm still worried I'm going to be like lagging behind everyone and forgetting stuff. But I'm going to do it anyway.
That's great.
I think.
But that's something we found out, because I also have slow processing speed. And that's what we found out with our psychologist, wasn't it? With the ADHD testing that we went through with our psychologist.
Yeah.
And that was one of the interesting parts of those tests, was finding out those little brain things that we have.
It's one of the things that you don't necessarily get if you go through the process with a psychiatrist, which is why we wanted to do the psychologist thing, because we knew we'd get that report at the end that would give us some insights into where we need extra help in our lives. And it was really as simple as the psychologist saying, you will get it because you're smart, but when you learn something, you're going to need to take just a little bit longer to learn it. But once it's in, you'll never forget it. And it's true. Like, I can still remember some of my dance routines from when I was like 14.
I forget a lot of stuff.
You do.
But anyway. But I guess when you're dancing as well, Jules, you also, you've got the music. And you're trying to remember. So there isn't a lot of room left in your brain for that. You know, as ADHDers, I don't know about you guys, but I've had 1,000 thoughts before I've even reached the end of our driveway. You know, the internal conversations and the thoughts and, you know, the stuff that's just always going on in our head.
Yeah.
So just a chance for that.
It's true.
To switch off.
I love the loud music too.
Golden.
I loved it. And that's why, like, because I also go to the gym now. That's the other thing that I do. How do you feel about going to the gym, James? Just remind me.
Honestly, you know what? I don't like the gym. I've tried the gym several times. I just can't do it.
Boring.
It's so boring. You know, the same scenery, the same people posing, and it's awful.
And see, I used to go to the gym until I got a little bit injured. I used to do like HIIT training and weights at one of those sort of gyms where the music is up really loud and there's 30 people in the class and everyone's like, yeah, and high-fiving each other. And I freaking loved it. But unfortunately, those gyms don't focus a lot on technique.
No, they do not.
And so I kept getting a little bit injured because I was trying to do all the things without the right form. And now I go to a normal gym, but oh my God, it's so much harder. But I'm still doing it, but I have to make sure I mix it up. Like, one day I'll do weights and the next day I'll do cardio and another day I'll jump in the pool and go for a swim. And look, I've got to try and get into a routine every week. I'm just like forcing myself, but once I'm there, I still enjoy it. It's just not quite the same dopamine hit as the big rah-rah class one.
No, but and I guess a good tip for people who do struggle to go to the gym is to, if you possibly can, find a buddy to do it with you. Someone to hold you accountable, I guess, because if I'm left to my own devices, I'm not going to go.
No.
I struggled to go for a ride the other day. You know, just
you still did it though. I was really proud of you. I did it,
but you know, if it was the gym where I didn't really want to go, man, I just wouldn't go unless somebody was in it with me.
Yeah,
and they could bring me up and say, hey, let's go. We got to go.
Yeah, you still have to, I reckon, schedule it in well in advance. So you're like, that's my Wednesday 8:30 a.m. buddy. And then it's like, then you know, because otherwise, especially if you pick a buddy who's a little bit like you in terms of their neurotype, you might both skive off and go for coffee instead together.
Yeah.
Like, that can
happen. Which is not terrible, because going out and doing something sociable is also a great thing to do.
Yeah, and you can drink coffee in your activewear. But try and make a habit where you meet up at the gym first and do the thing first. Like, it's fun.
Motivation
it really
is one of the struggles with ADHD, and it is a huge struggle for me.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people watching and listening will also struggle, and it's just hard. You need somehow to make yourself accountable, and hopefully someone to do it with.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I go hiking together now. That's like our thing that we can do together now, because I don't really go mountain biking, although you keep promising to find me some wife-friendly trails. but I think he actually wants to keep the mountain biking to himself, dear listener.
I haven't found trails that are suitable for yourself.
Not yet. No. We used to do a lot of like cycling together when we lived in Melbourne, didn't we?
Yes.
Up the bike paths and
Yeah,
things.
we did.
Yeah, and now we go walking around like the bush and in the headland and
We
stuff,
do.
and it's nice.
We do.
Yeah.
We keep moving. You have to keep moving. I know sometimes I feel when I sit at home and I think I really needed that day. And some days you do just need a day to relax. But some days, another ADHD thing, you get to the end of the day and you had 100 things to do and you didn't do any of them. And then you're down on yourself for not doing them. So
yeah,
the time I think is the morning, isn't it? If you can strike early, but no, I don't mean like 6 a.m. I just mean strike early, get something done. It helps you feel good for the rest of the day.
It definitely does. And it definitely is more successful usually than trying to do it at the end of the day. But sometimes if I start work at 8 in the morning, there's no way that I'm going to get up at like 5 and go to gym, because I just know I'm not that person. So then I have to like go at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's tough. It's so tough. But you know what? It also gives me a reason to down tools at work. So I'm like, right, I've got to be finished work by 4 p.m, into my activewear by 4:05, and then in the car and at the gym by 4:30. And so sometimes it's actually good for me to schedule something at the end of the day, because otherwise I reckon I would just keep working into dinner time.
Yep. So I guess what can people do if people aren't really active people? I guess just getting outside is good, isn't it? Just getting some fresh air.
Yeah.
Just go for a walk. Just move your body a bit.
Yeah.
Just get out in the sun, but I mean, not too much sun. We've all been there. But just
Mr. Melanoma.
Just start slowly.
Yeah.
Start doing things that are easy for you and try and build on those things.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate.
And try things, like try new things.
Yeah.
Try one new thing every couple of weeks. Like I've seen, what was it, axe throwing in Richmond, in Melbourne? There's a few of them around, actually.
There's a lot of those around, axe throwing. It's a good group activity for, corporates and things.
And I suspect there might be a bit of a neurodivergent crew doing it as well. Yeah. Maybe. From what I've heard around the traps. But yeah, like that's just one thing. But there's like so many cool things that you can do. Yep. There's like these like no lights dancing classes where you can go and dance any sort of freestyle dance to your heart's content, but they actually switch most of the lights off and they ban mobile phones so that you can't see how bad each other are.
But don't you crash into people?
No, they have it just dim enough that you can, and they make it like big. I don't know, I haven't been to one, but I've heard they're fun.
It sounds like too many people in a room for me.
It's probably too much for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That doesn't sound great for me. So if people are anxious, wired, how does that affect their exercise routines, Jules? If people are really struggling with anxiety?
Yeah, good question, James. So in my practice, I do often see people who are quite wired and anxious and a bit kind of wrung out. And they're the ones that I tell to be very, very careful about things like HIIT training, like high intensity training, or really long, full-on stints of cardio. And that's because those particular activities are known to raise cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And unfortunately, the ADHD community have the double whammy where if you're on more than 10 milligrams of stimulant medications a day, that also has been documented to raise cortisol. So if you're on stim meds and you do the HIIT training, like you might end up with a bit too much cortisol going on. So you just need to watch out. Like all I say to people is note down how you feel after you exercise and during, but mostly after. Like if you could absolutely use a nap like an hour later, that's not the right exercise for you. You've gone too far. And so you might need to pull back and go to something that's a little more gentle, or go and do some heavy weights or something instead for a while, but avoid the real high intensity stuff until you get that cortisol under control.
Okay, that sounds good. Napping. I had my first nap the other day, didn't I?
I know, I was a bit worried actually. I thought you were dead.
Fell asleep on the couch. It was so good.
Yeah.
I'm not a nap guy. Nighttime is for sleeping. Mostly, I don't sleep that well either. But wow, I felt like a nap. Maybe I did.
Was that the day you went for a bike ride?
Maybe I did it that day.
Maybe.
I don't know.
And you're not, but yeah. And it's not just napping. Like if you finish your HIIT class and you just feel really wired or sore or really like slow recovery, like really bad muscle fatigue or pain the next day, that can be another sign of high cortisol as well. So it's not just napping. I just thought I'd clarify.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Well,
all right.
So that's it.
Yeah.
I guess the message there is let's do some movement.
Get moving. Find a friend. Find a buddy. Mix it up. Definitely like go for variety.
Yep. And just start slow.
And don't worry if you're shit at it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if you're shit at it. Just start small, but just start.
Yeah.
Just start something and see how your brain is.
Yeah. And if you feel like you suck at something and it's starting to mess with your head, just think about me upside down, floating around in the whitewash again. Yeah. If I can do it, anyone can. Yeah. Yeah. All right. If people want to reach out to us, James, how do they find us? Do you want me to do it this week? Yeah, I haven't got it written down, and because I haven't got it written down, I've forgotten it. Yeah. Okay, we'll put it on a post-it note for you next week. So you can reach out to us at latediagnosis.adhd.com. Geez, I nearly forgot then as well. Didn't you? I know, but it is nearly dinner time. Or you can find us on Facebook at Late Diagnosis ADHD. You can find us on Instagram at LD_ADHD. And we're also on YouTube, and you can find the link to that. I don't remember where, but you can always click through from our website. I'll pop it there. YouTubes. All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks. See you next week. Bye. Bye.